Hey everyone, it's Army Gaming. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a little mini analysis slash first look at Baron Traitor. First of all, I want to say that I'm not recording on my PC where I normally record. I'm actually home for the holidays, so I brought my laptop and I have an external microphone and I'm recording from that. So if I sound a little different than usual, that's why. I'm using a completely different setup. Actually, here's a picture of what I'm doing to record right now. But anyways, that aside, let's get into this little mini analysis slash first look of Baron Traitor. And so the most important thing about Baron Traitor would be his speed. 3498, this makes him one of the fastest magic monsters in the game. This is the new top tier deny speed. In the magic category, off the top of my head, I know Chrysandre has a similar speed to Baron Traitor, and I know Zyron the Ruby has a faster speed, 3509. So those two monsters are a competition to Baron Traitor. His trait is Hardened, which I've said this multiple times. It's seriously the best trait to have in the game, especially with all these new immobilizing effects coming out. You know, we recently got Mega Freeze, which is a 2-turn freeze. So no monster is immune to that, but if you have any monster with Hardened, there's a 20% chance they won't get hit by that Mega Freeze. And as for books, this monster is actually in 4 different books: the Undead book, the Evil Legions book, the Spirits book, and the Underworld book. So if you have this monster, you get a lot of usage out of him. You get him in 6 different wars, because there's the 4 books, his magic element, and then obviously he's a legendary monster. So in any legendary war, this monster is extremely versatile. And as for relics, you can hold the Trap Relic and the Staff Relic, and this actually is significant. We'll come back to this. His ultimate attack is called Baron Bottle, deals very heavy special damage to all enemies, disables trait on all enemies, applies possession to all enemies. So trait disabling is what's really special about this monster. We recently got trait disabled with Ingenica, the designer of all the artifact monsters, and people are still a little torn on whether she's good or not so good, whether she made a huge impact on the game or not really, but that's another issue. Let me just say that Baron Traitor's ultimate, as far as ultimate skills goes, this is definitely one of the best, if not the best. And the reason I say that is because, first of all, this skill disables traits, and then it applies possession, which means it doesn't matter what the enemy monster has. If they have Artifact, if they have Bulwark, Tough, Hardened, no matter what, the enemy monster is going to be possessed. It doesn't matter if the enemy monster was immune to possession, they're going to get possessed. That's how incredible this is, because first you disable the trait, which always lands, and then you activate possession. So if you were to get this like on your very first turn, bam, all 3 enemy monsters are possessed, they're on your side, they're going to attack themselves essentially. It is beyond crazy. And so I don't know, I personally think it's just the fact that you can disable traits and possess, it's so amazing. But if you guys disagree and you think there's a better ultimate, let me know what ultimate you think is better. Because you know, there's some great competition out there. Kaolic has a freeze and 100% stamina drain. I think White Pandoff has a 2-turn mirror. There's a monster that has AoE Mega Freeze, I believe. But you know, if you're going up against a Bulwark monster, against an Artifact monster, you can't Mega Freeze them. There's a 50% chance you can't Mega Freeze Bulwark monsters. But this right here, they're gonna be possessed. I just think it's phenomenal. Anyhow, let's move over to Skills Group 1. Let me quickly see if there's anything worth mentioning. Yes, there is. So if you get this monster, you have to run less than others. This skill applies possession to an enemy and it requires cooldown. No damage, no stamina cost, 4-turn cooldown. And by the way, ignore the 95% accuracy. Anytime a skill has no damage, it always lands. So the way attacks essentially work is that there's a certain percent that the attack will hit, and then there's a certain percent that the effect hits. So if a skill says like a watered rum, 50% chance of applying poison. So there's a 95% chance to deal 40 damage, and then if you do deal damage, then there's a 50% chance to apply poison. If a skill was to say may land poison, then in that case it'd be a 95% chance to deal 40 damage, and then a 100% chance to land poison. And the only way to reduce those odds is with a negative effect like blind or daze, or if the monster has Tough, Hardened, Bulwark, or some of those obscure nemesis traits that are like minus 30%, that's the only way to reduce the chance of an effect that says may land. But anyhow, going back to less than others, this is always going to land and it costs no stamina. So this is super significant because later on you have a skill that actually drains all of your stamina. So it's not like this monster becomes useless after he does this skill. You know, like General Thetis for a long time, stamina devours, then you have to recharge the next turn. You don't have to do that with this monster. You can do your skill that drains your stamina, and on the next turn you can still possess an enemy monster, a guaranteed possession. Which is pretty cool if you ask me. And not to mention, obviously if you do get stamina devoured, or any monster that 100% stamina drains, you have an attack that you can utilize. And then moving on to Skills Group 2, we have Flooded by Sadness, and we have the Loa and the Beast. So these two skills, essentially this monster has AoE versions in Skills Group 3, and so it's really going to come down to a preference which one you want to run. If you guys ask me, normally I don't like running multiple AoEs because you don't get a lot of time to utilize them. Normally you take out one enemy monster, then a second enemy monster. So this monster gets a 3rd turn in, Do you need another AoE? Not really, because then you're sacrificing accuracy. You're going from 95% accuracy skill to a 90% accuracy skill. And some people may not mind the difference in 5% for the chance to utilize an AoE for those situations when it does come in handy. For example, I think like at the league I'm in right now, usually I don't have the benefit of killing an enemy monster instantaneously, in which case I've started to utilize AoEs a lot more. So it really differs on a player to player basis. But anyhow, Flooded by Sadness, this applies blind and guard down. And so guard down essentially makes it so the enemy monster will always get hit, whether you're blinded, whether you're dazed, doesn't matter, your attack is always going to land against the enemy monster. And then blind, that reduces their accuracy, so 50% chance that you're not going to be hitting you. As for the other skill, this one is awesome too. It removes good effects from the enemy monster, you deal heavy magic damage, and you poison the enemy monsters. And then special is normal. This really doesn't do anything, 50% chance to disable trait enemy monster, no damage, 13 stamina cost, 3 turn cooldown. Yes, it's always going to land, but honestly, this skill doesn't matter too much. So let's move into skills group 3. And so we have Your Worst Enemies, which like I said is an AoE version, blind and guard down. And we have Deep Melancholy, which is an AoE version of removing good effects and poison. And so remember how I said it's pretty much up to player preference to decide whether you want to run an AoE or the singular version of it. I will say that it is really to your benefit to run Deep Melancholy, because anything that AoE removes good effects, that is a phenomenal skill. And on top of that, it also applies poison, which will reduce the enemy's HP by 10% for the next 4 turns, and it reduces damage output. So this skill does a lot, and considering a lot of enemy monsters can apply shields, can apply healing skills, there's so many good effects they can give themselves, having something to completely get rid of them, it is really to your benefit to run it. So I would highly advocate for Deep Melancholy, and then it's up to you. Do you want to run the blind and guard down? Do you want to run the single remove good effects? Or do you just want to run Your Worst Memories, the AoE blind and guard down? Personally, and again, even though I'm really against running AoEs, I think if I was to get this monster, I would do Your Worst Memories, Deep Melancholy, the skill from skills group 1, less than others, and then lastly, what's an incredible, phenomenal skill right now, No More Than Me. Disable Stray on enemy monster, 50% chance of applying possession to one enemy requires cooldown. So this is the skill right here. It drains you of 140 stamina, as a 4-turn cooldown, it disables traits, and it possesses the enemy monster. Now, you may be thinking, 50% chance to possess the enemy monster, that is terrible, why would you want to do that? The reason you want to do that, at least as of the time recording this video, is because every 50% skill is essentially glitched. Instead of being 50%, well not every, let me take that back. Not every 50% skill, but every 50% skill, since like the release of Samael, that's when I started noticing it. Every monster that has a 50% skill is actually 100%. So this monster disables the trait on any enemy, and it is a 100% chance to possess them. So it's like a singular version of your ultimate attack. What does this mean? This means that you can literally possess anyone you want. There's no barriers to it, you know, you just need to have the 140 stamina. But you can possess whoever you want, whether it's a Timerion, Tankerion, Flamerion, whether it's Samael, whether it's Zyron the Ruby, any Nemesis monster, doesn't matter who it is, any monster immune to possession, you can possess whoever you want, thanks to No More Than Me. And that is the reason why currently this monster is phenomenal. Now, if they ever fix that glitch, which maybe in the near future they will this monster be as effective? That's when you can start to argue whether or not he's that great. But currently, right now is the time making this video, he's just like on a whole different level. And I mean seriously, he's incredible. Like for example, in player versus player, a common defense I'm seeing right now is any team involving Zyron the Ruby. It's typically Samael, Zyron the Ruby, and then some other Nemesis monster, maybe Warthog, maybe Nadiel. But what you could essentially do is trait disable, and you might be thinking, no, that's not going to work. Ruby goes first, she has a faster base speed. Well, if you guys have the same level runes, you know, 3 level 10s on your main deny monsters, team speed on your other monsters, all you have to do is activate the Rune Guardian. Currently, and I think this is a little unfair, but the way it works is that the Rune Guardian only works for offense. So if you have your monsters with the same runes, and you have your Rune Guardian maxed out, and you give yourself that extra 10% rune advantage, well then you're going to be going first. You can use No More Than Me on the enemy Ruby. The enemy Ruby is going to get possessed, and then there's a high likelihood that Ruby immobilizes her own team, and she's definitely going to immobilize herself, since her trait's going to be disabled. She has nothing to protect her. And like I said, the cool thing is, even though you drain yourself of all of your stamina, on the following turn you can use less than others to single possess. And let's just say on the off chance that Ruby didn't get immobilized for whatever reason, maybe she did the 2 random control effects on a single enemy monster, well, she still has trait disable activate on the next turn, so you can possess her again. And this goes for any monster. So let's say for example you possess a Kihaku. Kihaku immobilizes his teammates but not himself because of damage missed on himself, which means the effect missed on himself. On the following turn, you just possess Kihaku again. Like, it's so awesome. Right now I really love this monster. And again, that's because of this whole 50% thing. It has a bug right now, it's glitched right now. So right now he's incredible. If this was ever to get fixed, how usable is he? and then that's when it's worth looking into, because I think he can still definitely be used. I think if that were to be the case, I think you would still want to play around with it to see how often possession actually lands, whether it is 50% chance or whether you notice it lands more often than none. I mean, statistically it should just be the flip of a coin, but if it is 50%, right, I think you should shift this monster from running 3 speed runes to 3 team speed and just have him go last, have him try to immobilize last, or maybe partner him up with a monster like Samael, someone like Cloud, someone that can give him increased accuracy and immediate extra churn. That way he can just jump to the front of the line and do his no more than me skill on the enemy denier, and I think that may be your best bet. You know, you need to give him that increased accuracy to make sure the possession lands. Or also, if you're somehow able to do guard down first and then still have enough stamina to do no more than me, then it should land always, because guard down makes it so the effect always lands and the attack always lands, if I'm not mistaken about the effect. And actually, even right now, if for some reason you're thinking, oh, he's not fast enough, well, you can still run someone like Metalisha, who has an incredible base speed, 35-42 if I'm not mistaken. So have Metalisha go first, churn transfer into Baron Traitor running team speed runes, and have him use no more than me on the enemy denier, and you get the same effect but with a faster monster. So yeah, that's gonna be it as far as Baron Traitor. I really wanted to get this video out, just showing like how incredible. Actually, oh my gosh, I completely missed this. The relics, right? Let's talk about the staff relics specifically. Take a look at some of these staff relics. When the turn starts, if any ally stamina is below 50%, gives 55 points of stamina to them. Or the Energizer staff. When the turn starts, if any ally stamina is below 25%, gives 25 points of stamina to the targets. And so if you have one of those staff relics and you equip it on this monster, even after he uses no more than me and he drains all of his stamina, on the following turn he can still recover stamina, and then you'll be able to utilize your AoE blind and guard down, or your AoE remove good effects and poison, or single hits if you're running those. So honestly, with the addition of the relics, it makes this monster even more usable. And in fact, this also means that we need to take a look at other monsters. I seem to remember Galante Jr. had a similar skill that drained him of 140 stamina and the benefit wasn't that good, but now with the relics maybe it's a lot more usable. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for Baron Traitor. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this monster. I am really looking forward to hear about him. I apologize, I originally thought I would make this video really short, just being like, hey, this monster's pretty good. But now I'm looking at the recording time and it's been like 21 minutes, so this turned out to be a lot longer than I wanted to. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know if you picked up this monster and let me know what you think about him. With that being said, best of luck to all of you on your Monster Legends adventures, and like always, remember to dream big and pursue your passions. Happy holidays! Oh no.